Welcome to the Rose B2B GTM Tactics. Today I have amazing Hila and Renat. I've known at least Hila for last couple of years. I recently saw her at a village event. Um, Good to have you guys here.
Good to be here. Good morning. Good to be here.
Um, Maybe we could start with a quick intro. Maybe both of you can take turns, um, and then we can get started.
Sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Hila Lauterbach. It's really nice to be here. I'm the co-founder of 10x GTM. We're a consultancy and fractional executive firm. I'm also, and have been in my past, three-time entrepreneur, with startup founder in the B2B SaaS era. I have over 17 years of experience building and leading global go-to-market and product marketing teams. And I'm advisor to stage 1 VC, working on due diligence and supporting portfolio company. And I had the luxury to work with a few startups that grow from zero to close to $400 million ARR. So really being in like early stage company and later working with unicorn to grow in the scale.
And I'm Renat. Trish, thank you so much for having us on here today. I've been in B2B SaaS tech my entire career. I've had the pleasure of leading marketing and product marketing teams in companies of all sizes, startups, unicorns, as well as multinationals. And so I've had the opportunity to see this go-to-market playbook play out or stall in all varieties. I'm really excited about our time today and the conversation ahead.
Super duper. Quick intro. So I am Rish. I'm the founder at ContentBeta. We are a creative as a service for B2B SaaS. But I'm really excited to have you guys here because you guys have like wide experience. I've seen Renat, you worked with SAP and then Treasure Data, Rike, and then here you worked with Spot On. So I think you've worked with quite a different size of company, and I'm sure your experience will be quite useful for our audience here.
Thank you, Rich.
Right. So we just
Thank you for changing the format, I would say. We just saw that all the other format was based on ads. So thank you for changing a bit of the format for us today.
Yeah, so we were basically trying to the central idea of these LinkedIn lives are pretty common that hey, let's pick up something which people are doing and let's see if we can learn something out of it. Although the name is Roast, but we are kind of trying to make like an educational spin that if this is not right, what is right and how to fix something. So I would say more than like a fun show, this is fun plus education. So let's get the ball rolling.
Let's do it.
Right. So the agenda is pretty simple. So we'll start with some of the slides. Then we do while it feels logical, where it breaks for early and mid stage software companies, and what to do instead, right? So rather than saying this is crap, how do you fix it? So that's the overall goal. I will start with the first one and then maybe we can take turns. So this is, and by the way, all these names and the tweets and posts are all anonymous just to make it fun. We put up like a name. We just put up advice we normally hear on LinkedIn on these files.
Yeah, love it.
So what do you, Hila? Let's go with this one.
Yeah. This advice to hire a VP of sales early is something that founders have heard for years now, right? A lot of VCs talk about it, and it kind of makes sense. Like, as the founder, what's the biggest challenge when you start out a business? We all know, right? Because we feel it. It's revenue and leads. That's what we hear from most of the founders that we talk to. They're like, can you get us lead? Where is my demand? And can I do some sales? Who's overseeing revenue? And while they start being founder-led sales and stuff like that, it is heavy load to continue with that. So the traditional advice, the stat was to hire your first VP sales at around 1 million in ARR. And I was just looking up and I was thinking to myself, is there an advice around hiring your first PMM? Because I'd love for there to be an advice out there saying that you should hire your first PMM at 1 million ARR. So that's a bit of a tangent, but I would just say that PMMs that's a bit controversial. Typically, the advice is around the VP sales and then about demand gen. There is some voices out there that actually claim PMMs should be the ones getting in there ahead of the demand gen. But those are the companies where that is a fit. So back to our VP of sales. Why does it break today? Because AI is shaking things up for the VP of sales, just like it's shaking things up for a lot of roles in across the organization, not just in marketing and sales. And I was just listening the other day to SaaStar's CEO, Jason Lemkin, and he recently shared that he's seeing this shift within his portfolio companies, where they're now reaching 5 million and even 10 million in ARR with only founder-led sales. So how is that doable? Because you have the same capacity, and obviously that's doable because they're able to use way more AI tools, automation, automating inbound. We have the SDR AI tools and outreach tools that are now more AI led. And if the founder or the team has enough time to invest in the training of those AI tools, then they are seeing that type of success where they can actually push it out. And so the timing is now becoming fundamentally different for this advice.
I think one thing which really breaks or makes like hiring a sales leader is the profile of the founder. The technical founder, it's hard to spread your bandwidth with product and engineering and marketing and sales. And my point of view is that sometimes you need like somebody who's heading sales. But I think, like how you told, I think I heard the same Jason Lemkin podcast. The sales role is going to get like outdated probably in a year or two. I don't know how the world will look, but I can see some green shoots. For example, email outbound stopped working the way it used to work a couple of years ago, right? You would see because with AI everybody gets this personalized time. Um, so things are starting. What do you think, Hila? Or when should someone really hire VP of sales?
When, like from the time perspective. So we have a lot of conversation currently with existing clients about it. And I would say that we see a sweet spot, someone closer to 5 million ARR. And it's not, a one number that you can go after, but what we see that you build, the base level of the company. 1 million, you're starting to see patterns, you're starting to see this signal. You wanted to see more consistent signals. You wanted to see more of that channels becoming something scalable, repeatable with better distribution that you can double down and build the pipeline on. When you started to see that level of consistency, when you started to see you go to more than one segment, when you see that you grow from, let's say, SMB to mid-market, then you actually go to different segments, growing the company and going to bigger ticket types of sales, and it's become something not manageable to the founder. This is the right time to bring something in. And I will say something about titles. I've always had this feeling that we run very quickly to put the VP or the chief, marketing or the chief sales as a title. I don't believe in that, to do it so early on. So even the first hire sometimes should be just a director or something that's very strategic, very hands-on, and not just someone, that is shiny and come from great companies, but come from the title. And we have a lot of this conversation coming along when a founder tells me I'm now in 2 or 3 million ARR and I'm not sure it's the right time because I'm still handling it right. So it's somewhere in the sweet spot that you make this jump, you make this shift, and you started to see this more repeatable, and growing tickets. And I think that we need someone strategic to support the CEO and to give him more time to focus in other areas.
Nice. Let's move on to the next one. We got a couple of 5 more to cover. So this one is about, say, create more content all the time. I think that's one of the common theme I saw even today morning. Everybody's trying to say that, hey, outbound is not going to work. Keep on creating content because your content will help you pull your ID customers.
Yeah.
let's start with you, Renat.
I'm going to take this one. I love this one. If it's fine, when Renat and I opened our business, we had a lot of discussion around that, and we talked with great people that creating content like Harvey Lee and others. And, everybody say that consistency is the key, right? Post daily, have kind of like 3 days calendar that stay visible all times, and your audience like really never forgets you, will be top of mind. And we struggle with that by ourselves, and obviously some of our clients, because, it's very demanding, and it's making you a content strategist, a content writer, someone that is all the time on top of that. And why it actually feels so logical, because honestly, we're afraid of the algorithm. We can say it. Like, we feel that if we're not going to show up daily, we're not going to be this top of mind. And in the end of the day, what we do is believe that the quantities will come over with the quality. So we found ourselves running after this, hope that we're going to convert to qualified lead. But a lot of time, it's not what really happened if you just put stuff out there just to put them. And I believe that you can, and you and the listener can relate to the feeling that a lot of the content we consume and the stuff we see don't really add anything new for us, no new point of view, just out there to say something. And when it comes to B2B SaaS, what we see in early startups, I like the idea what like Mark Schaefer said, we're in a content shock, that there is like flood of so much AI generated noise, so much content out there. And I just read recently Gartner report that say that 70% of the content that is out there is not even consumed by anyone. 70%, which means that these small startups that have 2 or 3 people in the marketing side that try really to create more and more content pieces, use their most precious resources, which is the time, focus, mind share, to develop this kind of stuff instead of creating really good, unique point of view that actually move the needle and helping them to get the right client, the right ICP. And if you ask me like what to do with that today or what is better way, I would say speak about like commercial insight, focus on that instead of creating like 10 pieces of like mediocre, not bringing any value posts. If you think about like creating 2 or 3 posts every week, that's what I call power post. And you really not just running after your feature and what's new in your company, but you really find the customer problem and how you really solve their problem, not bring new AI pieces, but really solve the biggest painful product for them. And what really you do with that, you disqualify all the alternative, even the status quo, and ensuring that the content you put outside is really make your solution the only logical path for the problem for them, and reframe it like that. And I think this is the winning. This is what we do at 10X as well. You don't see that we post every day, but every time that we put this outside, it's really intentional around that.
I think one thing which you said stick into my head, like about the Gartner statement that 70% of content nobody's watching, just like how SEO content works. Like most of your content doesn't rank. Probably 10-20% of your pages get you traffic and get you leads. But the problem as a marketer, I don't know which are those 10 pages. And hence I got to try a lot more before I come to know that which are those 30% content pieces, which is getting me interest. Um, One more cool stat which I hear is this was by Neil Patel, where he said the informational content is now there because most people can search informational content on any LLM. What is not there today is unique perspective, unique point of view. And one of the cool way which we do is we go and interview founders for an hour, right? Mostly about topics where their audience is scared for, and from that hour now of recording, create content for like a couple of months, right? That way you have unique content pieces plus something which has a point of view. What do you
Yes.
say, Renat?
Yeah. First of all, Rishi, I think that you do fantastic job, and your team does fantastic jobs fantastic job in supporting founders and helping them create really unique content. And so thank you first of all for doing that and for bringing that to the industry. I think it's awesome. I think that when we think about content, we also need to think about LLMs and how we're now starting to create content in order to rank on LLMs. And that's a completely different type of content, right? It has to be longer and deeper. And and written in particular ways. And that's also an evolving space. So, while we talk about always on content calendars as the era of trying to rank on social and on Google, and then also newsletters and trying to just capture mindshare. Today, we also really need to think about capturing LLM mindshare.
Nice one. Let's go to the next one. This is also classic PLG advice. If your product is good, growth follows, your customers will come in. What do you guys think about this?
I love this one. So I hear it all the time, and a lot of companies that we work with and have been working with speak about PLG as kind of like the charming coin. And I would say that the perception is saying that the product is your best marketing, focus mostly most of your allocation of like effort and resources and the R&D, and let's build something amazing that is going to naturally find the way to the audience. But we know that life feels different, right? Why is it logical? Because we romanticize ideas. We live in Silicon Valley here. The narrative is coming to the old great company and to replicate the early success stories, what we've seen in Slack and Zoom and like DocuSign and Dropbox. And we imagine a world that it's a pure PLG play, that the product is going to sell itself online and it's going to be organic virality. But when we work with this founder today, and I love to say what the Twitch founder said at the time, was Justin Can, and he had this famously, coin say that the first-time founder really focused on the product, while the second-time founder focused on distribution. And I cannot emphasize this even more. We are in crazy times, right? The market is so saturated with tons of product that do the same or have very similar promises. And it's a time that the good is not enough in the market. And if you don't really have the product channel fit, that you think about it ahead of time, even the best product in the market currently can fail. And if you see companies like Slack and Zoom that early time started with PLG, they all now have like kind of massive enterprise, sales teams. Because even the good product that we see out there eventually, get into this growth ceiling. And they do need a go-to-market motion and engine that is going to grow them and open new market and get more market share. And when I think about it, like what to do instead of that, like what is the right approach, you really need to build an engine. You can just have a car or like a thought car, I would say. And about half of your resources need to be thought about distribution channel from day one. It's something that needs to be there early on. And when you wait from the MVP to be perfect and to reshape and clean and make your product, beautiful, you waste time. And you really want to ensure that at the same time you deliver this mechanism for distribution. And for early stage company, you really need to ensure that you reach the right buyers with the right messages that's coming with clear competitive advantage. And this is always going to win more and more feature. And I can tell you, I work for the companies that create so many features. In one company, we created about 400 feature in 1 year, which was very massive and impressive to some of our enterprise clients that need some of this feature. But in the end of the day, what was winning is the ability to have a right distribution channel. And I see it now with our clients today that it can have a great signals and we can get the best clients, but if it's not consistent, if they're not repeatable clients, if it's not going to distribute and grow with the audience, we a lot of times see it as a one-off deal. And in a SaaS world, when you really want to reach the right ICP and to grow in the right, cadence, you really need to ensure that all your play for distribution is in place ahead.
So product used to be like a competitive edge or a moat some time ago. But like you're saying, with Lovable and Replit and all those tools where you can replicate any product today, what's the real moat today for early stage companies? How can they start thinking about that when they're building the company?
You speak about vibe coding now. How can they help them?
So because of vibe coding, product is no longer like a competitive edge, not like the only competitive edge.
Yeah.
How do you build competitive edge today?
Yeah. I think that you build competitive edge through buyer truth, right? So it's not the product, it's what the product does for your buyer, the value that you deliver. the innovative approach, maybe a change to a workflow or an understanding that you as a founder have that others don't have. And I think that while vibe coding helps you get to minimum viable, I'm not sure lovable, but viable product quicker, that's not where product success ends. There is much more work that goes later on or continues with the product, which is mostly about making it lovable, not just viable, right? And that lovable is really about that connection with the buyer, understanding the buyer, understanding their day-to-day, understanding the innovation that you can bring into something that's happening. And that's where success comes from. And so often we talk about the fact that founders come with a very strong conviction that is based on really understanding the problem space and really loving their product. So they fall in love with the product or they fall in love with the problem. But what they have to do these days, that's the change. They have to fall in love with their buyer. And we often come in to help with that.
Nice answer. We'll go to the next one. This is more about marketing collateral. And everybody's behind this these days. When people say YouTube is the most consumed, like 85% of people in the US, they consume YouTube like crazy. And everybody's behind this. Hey, I want to be in the video. They did a video, so we need a video. What are your thoughts? And video could be just like like an anecdotal keyword, but they need a lot of content, so we need to do a lot of content. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. I even take it further, and I'm like, it's about looking at your competitor, which I think it's looking in your back mirror. It's looking back into a competitor and saying they did A, we should be doing A as well, right? Like, did you see their website? Their messaging is so good. So what, are we going to copy their messaging now? Because that would not be differentiated, right? But those kind of things come up, and typically unfortunately, many such conversations with CEOs or with heads of sales or lead sellers that's hear about competitors, check out competitors, and then they get really excited about a particular tactic. And everyone thinks that they know marketing really well. So typically they would come up to someone in marketing or product marketing and go, hey, your competitor is doing such a fantastic thing. Did you see their white paper? It's going viral. Did you see their video? It's, going viral. And the reason it breaks is because that's a tactic, right? It's a point in a strategy. And just copying that tactic is not going to give you the strategy. And the strategy is really your differentiation, right? It's your positioning, it's your messaging strategy, it's your understanding of your target audience, it's finding the channels that will help you go viral. All of those things together, that is what is working for that competitor. But copying just the one thing, whether it's a video or something else, is probably not going to give you the same kind of effect. So, I'm all for learning from others, getting ideas, but then thinking about your own strategy before you deploy it.
Dina, what do you think about scanning competitors every day to see what they're after? Does it really help when you're building from ground up?
So there's this great stat, which April Dunford, our positioning queen, uses, but it's originally from Jolt, from the Jolt effect by Matt Dixon and Ted McKenna. And it talks about who do you lose deals for, too. And 40 to 60% of B2B deals are lost to no decision, not to the competition. So that's very telling. Right.
Great. So I think one more thing so that indecision or inaction is actually, so how do you solve for a problem like that? I've seen in my business also when even my customers, they got a lot of deal flow, but I would say probably 50-60% they don't end up turning. And it's not that they're not interested anymore, but Nobody wants to take an initiative. And in B2B buying, it always feels that, hey, instead of opting for something new, am I going to be fired for doing this, right? Is this going to harm me more than getting the benefits? How do you solve problems like this?
Right. I mean, that's at the heart of of your go-to-market strategy. And there is a lot of things that play into that. One of them is with the way that you engage with the customer. It's more like a guide and really taking them through what are the alternatives, what can they do, and trying to highlight what is the cost of those alternatives, right? I mean, yes, you can do nothing, but how much is it costing you to do nothing? By the way, if you're worried about being fired, in our age today, doing nothing might get you there quicker than experimenting with something new. Um, so, so I think that's really part of our challenges as go-to-market and product marketing leaders is really to tap into that urgency. And it does require that deep understanding of the buyer, the alternatives that the buyer sees, seeing your positioning, but from the buyer perspective and not, outside in, not inside out. And then walking them and being a real trusted partner and guide is one of the ways where you can listen to the real objection. Like, is it pricing? Is it testing? Is it piloting? Like, how can you help them remove that objection so that they can build trust with you slowly, maybe slower than you were anticipating originally? They can experiment, and then they are ready to go all in.
Super duper. We are short of time. Let's go to the last one and then we'll summarize our key takeaways. This one is my favorite. I don't know if you guys have seen those LinkedIn posts where they have created that, hey, if you have like annual customer value really high, go for full ABM motion, or if it's really low, do something else. What are your thoughts? When should somebody really think about ABM motion?
Sure. So this is something that I've seen a lot with enterprise play, obviously. And, there is this kind of statement that, okay, let's stop wasting time on the broad demand generation and let's pick our 50 to 100 dream accounts and go after them and pour all the resources and focus to make sure that it's super hyper personalized, campaigns. And it sounds good, right? It sounds very logical. And we think about it's the ultimate efficiency, like you're very, surgical in the way you go. And if you think about it, we really want to be snipers and not hunters with a net. And while it feels right to really focus on limited resources and to put them only on the big logos and these names, that technically could move the needle for us and be the right one for the right company and create us the big deals we want to see and to see the big numbers in the pipeline. But what really happens when we started to work with early stage entrepreneurs, it's kind of what we call the ABM fatigue, or like the kind of like ABM islands in which marketing and sales team really work in silos, and there is a lot of misalignment around that. And I see a lot of startups really putting and burning their cash in very expensive tech, from CSense to others, on a very static focused list that has no intent around them. And this can actually put a situation in which you close the right doors that are open for you with other potential clients that are not in the current spreadsheet. And while you're ignoring the right clients, you run after this shit. And we see it very often that when you don't see specific intent, you don't see specific signals that the companies are really willing to buy your product to have this kind of terms, you see yourself, putting tons of money and using campaigns that looking great, but not really converting. And Renat and I speak a lot about the way we work with our founders today. That is a very highly focused on signal-based go-to-market to ensure this efficiency is coming along very early and we know what we're going after. And in go-to-market perspective, when I think about putting aside for a second this very tactical list and thinking about more real-time intent signals like commercial insight, we really want to ensure that we have a clear, to the current path and, that we can see that the alternative are failing for them and making more clear approach to make our solution the only one that counts. And I can tell you that when I think about signals, it's a lot of time changing in their internal department, the new people they bring, the new tooling they use. What are they going after in their market? The new M&As they have, stuff that's happening in the dynamic of the market share. And it's helping us to see where the place to go. And many times, even though we have this kind of target, at least we shifted with our client, changing segments, changing, market after doing some testing and doing sprints, work 1 month, 2 months, learning the market and not stucking on the idea of who is the ideal client profile, but where do we actually see the pooling? Where do we actually see momentum and motion when client not just interested in the product, but starting to, I would say, echo our language, echo the narrative, bring in champion in their companies and starting to pull over and ask more of this product versus what they used to have. This is the places that a lot of time the SMB or the mid-market play will be much better than the bigger companies that are not going to stay for the longer or that are going to post churn or not buy your product in the first place.
All right. So that a longer form of question for you probably. Because you help a lot of companies with GTM, how do you pick which motion is the right fit for you? And how do you, what what information do you need to pick apart?
Yeah. There's two things that go into it. First of all, we have a framework. We call it our 5A framework that really gives us a diagnostic of the company's current state and what they've learned so far, and also what the product that they're trying to put out there and what are the realities for that product, meaning what is the market, and what do buyers think, how do buyers assess different alternatives, and then also what's happening internally. Who's your sales team? Do you have opportunities for PLG? Are you going direct? All of those things come through the assessment. And then from that, you can really pick the go-to-market motion that makes sense. But all of that is hypothesis. And I think that's our biggest message. Everything that you do in go-to-market starts with a hypothesis that is based on your best guess, right? Because you haven't tested it yet. So you don't know that it's going to work. And that's where agility has to come into place. And the tools that you use, as well as your mindset, has to be about experimenting. Is this working? And then fail fast and move on quickly. If it's not working, go and try the next thing. And I think that's the only way to ultimately make the choice.
Very cool advice. I think a lot of our customers, when they hire us, we are like an embedded team for them, for their marketing team, more in the sense of creative side. They say, you help us to run more experiments within our marketing team. Otherwise, we would have done something, it takes a longer cycle. But now I get it. I mean, if as a founding team, I have ability to run more experiments, the faster I'll reach to a motion which will get me customers.
I think so. Yeah, that's exactly what we see as well.
Great. I think we are at the end of the show. Quick takeaways. So my learning has been, don't focus on like the traditional techniques for enterprise. Don't focus on the traditional the LinkedIn gurus that they say to create more content or something. Try a lot of experiments, see what works, and move on. What are yours?
Yeah.
To give the high levels. So we said, all right. So we said that don't run to hire the VP sales so early, to ensure that you have the right title when it's too early. We want to see this somewhere between $5 to $10 million in ARR when you actually have more pull, more motion, and you started to see consistency that really show you opportunity to scale, not just early signal that maybe a lot of time are noise. When we speak about content, don't be afraid of the algorithms. You don't need to create content every single day. Yes, it's great if you love it and you're amazing at that. Appreciate it and more valuable if you're going to create your own point of view. You're going to bring value to your clients. Create 1 or 2 power posts every week, and being able to help them to really understand your solution to their biggest, most urgent problem and disqualify the alternative in the market, including the status quo. We talked about product that in our dreams, we want them to be PLG. very easily viral and selling themselves. It's not working like that in most companies. We see more of a hybrid model. I didn't use this term earlier, but we see more combination of PLG with a heavy sales, high touch. And in our current world, it's really important to early on to think about distribution channels in parallel to building great product and features. So don't focus just on that. Ensure that you have the product channel fit and bring the distribution in mind.
Yeah, yeah. And zoom out. We are at an era of change. We've always been. I mean, change is the only thing you can count on consistently, right? So traditional advices and any other advice, look at it, think about it, see if it's a fit for you, and that is and that fit should be the guide to whether you adopt it or not, and not the fact that someone somewhere, even if that person is with a lot of experience, said it.
Right. And I think that we ended up with experiments that we all see. And I think this is a great point to close with, because we're in a beautiful era. We have so many tools, so many opportunities to work in sprints, to test every 2-3 weeks, to ensure that we have our assumption, we go with the hypothesis, we're going to test it, we're going to try, we're going to learn, iterate, and go to the next sprint. So see the early signals. Don't be in love with them as something that's going to ensure that you're going to be very successful or growing your product in specific audience or geography, and ensure that we test all the time to get the specification, clarity, and result that help you to scale in a smart way.
And one last question. If people want to learn more about what you do, 10x GTM, and want to get in touch, who's the sweet spot for you? How can they get in touch with you guys?
For sure. So LinkedIn, Renat Gersch, Hila Lauterbach, we always love to meet and speak. We also have the opportunity to do assessment and learn the go-to-market opportunities and roadmap. And then we have our 10xgotomarket.com website and page.
Super. But I'll leave these links in the description for this YouTube video and for Alrighty. Thank you so much, guys, for taking your time. Really appreciate it. And I hope our audience got a bit from this. Thank you.
Thanks for having us today.